General, in my opening comments, I talked about how, in my judgment, the Corps of Engineers and its projects actually save us money. Do you think I'm right about that?
Sir, you're absolutely correct.
Okay. I'm a big fan, by the way, of the Corps, like Senator Shaheen, like all of us. I just worry about how we fund you. The president's budget, I know it's not your budget. You've got to claim it, but I get it. You wouldn't do it the same way. It was thrust upon you. But let's take the Inland Waterways Trust Fund. How do we fund that?
Yes, sir. So this is a tax on transporters on our inland waterway system, and those funds are collected into the specific fund.
But we don't spend all the money. We collect the tax from people, but we don't, and we say it's for inland waterways, but we don't spend all the money on inland waterways, do we?
We don't. That's correct.
We spend it elsewhere in the budget, right?
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
With respect to, I looked a lot at this issue as we were finalizing the work plan, Senator. We have a $300 million, account right now within the Waterways Trust Fund, and we generally get about $100 to $120 million worth of revenue. We had the opportunity to make a choice based on the work plan of whether or not we went into the trust fund this year. I chose not to do that. We had the opportunity to repurpose bipartisan infrastructure laws. So, and the reason I wanted to
yes, sir, but before we get too far down in the weeds, we do this with the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund as well. We tax people who are using these waterways, and then we don't spend the money on the waterways. Isn't that an accurate description?
We have not used all the funds provided. That is correct, sir.
Okay. General, tell me when we can expect a Corps decision on the Greenfield project we talked about earlier.
Yes, sir. I just spoke to Colonel Jones just this morning on that. I expect we'll have that decision within the next few days.
Okay, and that will be a final decision?
It would be a decision on whether or not we need to elevate to the keeper of the National Register the issue associated with the six historic properties. The final decision, sir, will come later in the
Let's
in
suppose
the year.
You elevate it to the historic preservation community, if you will, I'll call them. You still have the final decision, right?
That's correct.
The historic preservation folks give you their advice, but their advice is not dispositive. Is that right?
Sir, I'm sorry. I may have misunderstood your earlier question. I don't know the answer to that. I only have one repetition where we had to elevate to the keeper. I will take that, sir, and follow up with you.
Yeah, but here's what I'm trying to understand. Whose decision is it? Is it you? Is it the Corps, or is it the historic preservation people?
Yeah, that's the part I don't. The final decision on the permit, the overall permit, is with the Corps. The specific issue with the National Historic Preservation Act, I'd have to follow up. I don't know.
Well, it's your decision. I mean, that's my understanding of the law. Historic preservation folks offer their input to the Corps, but the Corps either issues the permit or it doesn't. And you have the authority to say, I agree with the historic preservation people or I don't. And what I'm asking is, when do you think we'll get a final decision? I mean, what if the historic preservation folks say this is going to take us 3 or 4 years? Now we've not only finished medical school, we finished an internship and a residency and a subspecialty. So how long are you going to give the historic preservation folks to make a decision? It's not like they haven't been part of this. They've been part of this from day one.
Right.
And they don't want this project, do they?
Okay. So, Senator, I've only have one repetition where we had to elevate to the keeper of the National Register.
I'm trying to understand the time.
It didn't take 6 years. It took a few weeks.
Okay, so you think that the historic preservation folks, you're going to elevate it to them, and then they're going to have to give you an answer in a few weeks?
So the decision to elevate has not been made yet. That's the...
Yeah, but you're going to elevate. That's my prediction. You know, let me put my, you know, I just see an elevation in my future, you know. After you elevate, how long are they going to take?
Sir, I don't know how long they're going to take.
How long are you going to give them?
Sir, I don't know those answers.
We have to make a decision. We've not only finished med school here, we finished law school and going after a PhD. These permits just shouldn't take that long, General. This controversy is not going away, and I'm not telling you how to make the call. But you got to make a call here, just like on Senator Hovind's pipeline. 6 years, you know, that's not acceptable. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Hovind.
I want to thank the ranking member